beaten series of playoff hockey every year, but you're probably never going to get more than 2. How the hell is that any better? How does that make anything any different? We go from a team who backs into the playoffs every year and loses in the first or second round to a team who comfortably struts into the playoffs and then loses in the first or second round every year. It's the same thing. You went from a team who makes the playoffs every year and loses in the first or second round to a team who makes the playoffs every year and loses in the first or second round. At least with some of these other candidates, not even if you're not a Torchetti guy like I am, like I said, I'm a big Torchetti guy, but even if you're not a Torchetti guy or gal, there has got to be somebody out there that has identity of, as far as this is the type of team I run, and I'm being brought in, we're doing things my way, and there's a track record, and if that guy isn't there and Boudreau's not that guy, then you gotta find somebody who at least has the potential, where at least it's a question mark. How far can we go with this guy? We don't know. That's the type of guy you gotta go with. When you bring in a coach into this situation, to a team, how many times do I have to say it? When you bring this coach into this situation, why you would choose a safe bet that with no likely shot at the big payoff over somebody with potential, with mystery, with possibility, okay? We've already proven that was the issue over the past 5 years. We're not content with making the playoffs every year and only playing in the first or second round. We want to be in the playoffs and in the conference finals and playing for Lord Stanley's Cup. That's what we want. Okay? And that is why I am so on fire still about this, is because the hire of Bruce Boudreau as head coach was so hypocritical from an organizational standpoint in those regards. We just want to more comfortably have the same results that we've had here the past 5 years. We don't want any different results. We're really not committed to getting to the finals and winning a championship. That is not what we're trying to do here. We just want to have a good hockey team that people don't get upset about too much, that wins more games than it loses so that it can make more money than it loses. So in closing on Balls on Fire, in my humble hockey opinion, absolutely nothing has changed here in the state of hockey. Alright, well I think that's the end of my Boudreau rant. But for the record, hold off on calling me out on being wrong at any point in time next season before the playoffs roll around. Okay, come playoff time, then you can call me out for being wrong because the Wild make it to the conference finals or Lord Stanley Cup's finals, and in which case I would be ecstatic to be wrong. See, that's what a truly smart person will do, is they'll set up situations where if they are wrong, they're still winning. So, but anyway, we will talk what is going on now in the playoffs and close out of hockey talk and move on here. Try to do it fairly quickly, but you know me, that usually doesn't work out. So I mentioned that out east, the Washington Capitals yet again failed to make it past the second round of the playoffs. I believe the statistic is in Ovechkin's 11 years as a Washington Capital, they have made the playoffs 8 times, and 0 of those 8 times have they made it farther than the second round of the playoffs. They were like 15 to 20 points at the end of the regular season ahead of the next best team in all of hockey, and things just fell apart because they ran into who everyone was scared of in the East, a red-hot Pittsburgh Penguins team, and the Penguins took out the Capitals in 6 games, when that series 4 games to 2. The other series out east was much less. Well, it was only 1 game different, but still not a very competitive series in the other one. The New York Islanders won Game 1 against the Tampa Bay Lightning, and then the Tampa Bay Lightning won the next 4 games in a row, 2 of them going into overtime, the other 2 being blowouts. So the Lightning advanced to the second round to take on the Penguins, and in that second round, or in that Eastern Conference Finals now, in the Eastern Conference Finals, the Pittsburgh Penguins currently have a 2-1 lead over the Tampa Bay Lightning, and that next game is tonight, Friday, May 20th, in Tampa Bay. That is a 7 o'clock Central Standard Time start on NBC, SN, CBC, and TVAS, whatever those last 2 are. My prediction on this series going into it was Penguins. Penguins, like I said, they've been red hot going into the playoffs. They've maintained it throughout the playoffs, and there's no reason to believe that anyone's going to beat them, especially now out with a 2-1 lead. But even before that, as I said, 0-0, I was picking Pittsburgh either way. It was just a matter of how many games. And honestly, I don't care how many games. I'm hoping 6 or 7. Good hockey is always awesome to watch. We'll take as much of it as we can get as sports fans. But this might be another one like that Islanders one, which is, they got that first win, and then boom, Pittsburgh rattles them off. But we'll see if Tampa Bay can't tie that up tonight. But then out west, both second round series matchups went the full 7 games. We had the Stars versus the Blues, and that saw the Blues winning 4-3. And then in the other series, we had the San Jose Sharks hosting the Nashville Predators, and the Sharks won that series, as I predicted, 4-3. So out west now, that means we have the St. Louis Blues versus the San Jose Sharks. And of course, it's easy for me to say now because they have a 2-1 lead, but I was picking San Jose, as you probably could have guessed, hearing me talk hockey this past 2 weeks ago and 3 weeks ago. I liked the Sharks a lot. I liked them as a team. I liked just their route throughout the playoffs, especially when they were able to avoid Anaheim. You knew Anaheim was my number 1 team out west. But the Sharks, I had a real strong feeling on the Sharks. I knew they were going to beat the Kings. Called that one. And then when I seen that they, like I said, avoided the Ducks, you can't. Why should anybody trust the St. Louis Blues in the playoffs? Is my question. Like that's my main issue with this series. Where from 0-0, I was still picking the Sharks. But currently, the San Jose Sharks do hold a 2-1 game lead over the St. Louis Blues, and their next game is tomorrow, Saturday, May 21st. That will be in San Jose, and that is a 6:15 Central Standard Time start on NBC, as well as CBC and TVAS, whatever those are. So just to be clear for the record, from this point on, I am predicting a Stanley Cup Finals of the Penguins versus the San Jose Sharks, and I expect it to be a pretty good series. I don't think it'll be a blowout by any means. But I just don't see anybody stopping the Penguins. Blues or Sharks or Lightning, I don't see anybody slowing down the Penguins and Sidney Crosby on the way to hoisting this year's Lord Stanley Cup. Alright, so that's it for hockey. Let's move on to some balls on ice, balls on fire. Same thing this week. It's like Inception or something. But balls on fire officially put out. Balls on ice officially done with. And we are moving on to balls dribble, which of course is basketball talk. Let's keep it in playoff mode though. Segue that way. And then we will work into the Wolves, the draft lottery, season awards, those topics here for basketball quick. But currently in the NBA playoffs, each series, is 2 games into the conference finals. Out east, the Cleveland Cavaliers have a 2-0 advantage over the Toronto Raptors, who will be lucky to win a single game if they can manage that. in this series, and that would be an accomplishment because no one up until this point has managed to beat the Cleveland Cavaliers in a single game. The Cavaliers swept the Detroit Pistons in the first round, and they swept the Atlanta Hawks in the second round. The Toronto Raptors, however, are coming off of back-to-back 7-game series. They just beat out the 7-seed Indiana Pacers 4-3 in round 1, and they just beat out the 3-seed and my preseason pick to take on the Cavaliers in the Eastern Conference, the Miami Heat. They won that series. The Toronto Raptors did, that is, 4-3 as well. But pretty dang close. That would have been pretty sweet if I would have got both those Eastern Conference picks right. And then, of course, my preseason picks out west were the Golden State Warriors and the San Antonio Spurs. The Warriors made it quite easily into the Western Conference Finals, winning their second-round matchup against the Portland Trailblazers 4-1. However, the San Antonio Spurs were not successful in advancing to the conference finals, as everyone this whole year really thought was going to be the case. It's, the Western Conference Finals is the NBA championship, and it's going to be the Spurs versus the Warriors, and that's just how everybody in the media and basketball fans and just everyone who cares and was paying attention kind of went about their attitude towards the season, and that just goes to show you that that's not always the case, and that's why you play the games. As I mentioned, the Cavaliers currently blowing out the Raptors in their series 2-0. However, the Oklahoma City Thunder not only beat the San Antonio Spurs 4-2 to advance to the Western Conference Finals in upset fashion, but they then carried that momentum into Game 1 in Golden State and won Game 1 in Golden State. The Warriors came out in Game 2 and won handedly, or handilier. I don't know what freaking word it is actually, but I think it's handedly. Anyway, so now both series are heading into Game 3s for the weekend, with today being an off day in both series. The next game coming on Saturday, and that will be the Eastern Conference game in Toronto, where the Raptors will host the Cavaliers and hope to hand the Cavaliers their first defeat of these playoffs. And then Game 3 in the Western Conference will be held on Sunday, and that is a 7 o'clock evening game. I assume these times are Eastern Standard Time, so maybe a 6 o'clock start. One would think Central Standard Time, and that would be a 6:30 start then for the tomorrow night's game in Toronto. But the Thunder will look to hold home court and take a 2-1 lead over the Warriors Sunday. Again, I would think with it being a Sunday night game that this time it doesn't specify Eastern, but it's got to be Eastern. All times are in Central Time? What? It does specify? Fine print, you say? Okay. Wow, so 7 o'clock Sunday night. Thunder hosts the Warriors. That game's going to be huge. Everybody's going to be watching that game that's a basketball fan. I hope to be. Actually, no, man. Eesh. Boy, I'm going to be going back and forth between that and WWE Extreme Rules pay-per-view. Oh well. Maybe I'll DVR the basketball game or watch the... I don't know. I don't know what I'll do. I'll figure it out. Don't worry. But look for that game to be pivotal. Granted, the Warriors were down 2-1 to the Cavs in last year's finals, and they ended up winning the next 3 straight. So winning the third game in a best-of-7 series that's tied at 1 game apiece is not the be-all, end-all of everything. But it is a big game. I think if the Warriors go in there and win that game, it's very much going to be a deflating... kind of, okay, the Warriors got that one they stole in Game 1 back, and they've reestablished home court advantage, and it's, they're going to advance to the finals. They won the most regular season games of any team ever this year, for crying out loud. So there will definitely be that kind of feel to it if the Warriors are able to win Game 3. I'm cheering for the Thunder for multiple reasons, mainly just because I like to see different people win. But I think the main reason I'm cheering for the Thunder to win Game 3 specifically, not just the whole series, but specifically Game 3, is that I think it solidifies the feeling of, oh wow, everybody needs to take this series seriously. The Thunder could possibly beat the